My name's Paul Hallam and I'm a writer. Most of my life is, I would say, is around windows and walks. I love staring out of the windows. I'm obsessed with people's daily lives and routines and rituals. I love views from any room that I stay in that has to have a view of the street and people. And I love repeated walks. I find a route that I like and I take it many, many times, just what sort of changes in just a very limited walk. About 7 years ago, I first went to Istanbul for a conference. Istanbul is a fabulous city for walks. I've been to places that I find unbelievably beautiful, but I've never just completely fallen in love with the place. Nothing like that had ever happened in my life. So I went for a 3-hour walk around Istanbul. At midnight, came back to the room with my cigarette and my beer and said, I'm going to live here. It was as simple as that. I just decided I had to be there. So now I live in Istanbul. The only outstanding problem that I had was I have this vast collection of books and papers. My father's coal miner, my mother metal box worker, very supportive of me going nowhere near the pit. I always had my nose in a book from being a child. There was a set of encyclopedias, but there weren't many books in my home, so I was always in the library. But I started buying books probably when I was about 12. There was a stall in Farringdon every Saturday morning, and often I just saw these old books, and they were going for £1, £2, £3. I didn't even know what the content was. They're just such beautiful books. So I would just say, I'll take that whole heap and look at it when I get home. In a way, it didn't matter what the book was. And that's why this collection is so strange to people. How could one person possibly be interested in all of these things? But I find almost any writing that predates the 20th century fascinating for all kinds of reasons. Just how it writes about anything is different. This is the collection from age 12 to age 60, which is what I now am. So I've kind of had these in storage in various locations, and it's been actually quite depressing to think that none of the books are being looked at, none of the papers are being gone through, and so I made a decision to come back to London. I decided I was basically going to more or less give them away or try desperately to sell them, and then by chance somebody who I was staying with said, well, have you thought about the Bishopsgate Institute, which is a wonderful institute which specialises in London history, in labour history, and it has a lot of archives. They're basically going to take all of my archive, which is all of my manuscripts for books, for essays I've written, all the research material for films that I've been involved in, co-written or written. So in a way I'll have my ideal library in London. I can't say how pleased I am about it being taken away from me. There was an artist called Mustafa Panjar in Istanbul. He saw another film called The Last Biscuit, which showed me talking about a fragment of my collections. As the film director was looking through some of my boxes, suddenly all these diaries, letters, things that people kept till their dying day came out of boxes. They were other people's papers that had been cleared by the People's Dispensary for Sick Animals charity organisation. And they take everything, and it's called The Last Biscuit because they take everything down to the last digestive biscuit. And presumably most of these people, there was nobody to leave it to, so these people must have been very much on their own when they died. So it's incredibly melancholic, but it's also absolutely fascinating what people keep and why they kept it. All the documents that they kept, often from childhood, like their swimming certificates and school reports, and there's a kind of universality, I think, that I'm really curious to ask people in other countries whether they keep exactly the same things. And so things like references that people gave them for jobs, and obviously their diaries, letters and photographs, but many official documents. It's an astonishing collection, and Mustafa just got a glance of it in the last Bishopsgate, and I could see his face. He wanted some of this stuff. So as part of this new project, I'll be working in collaboration, and I'm taking boxes of papers and materials for Mustafa to do with whatever he likes. This is a contribution, because he said it gave a completely different picture of the West to the one that had always been in his childhood mind. And also the archive, in a sense, once it is archived, other artists and other filmmakers and other people will be welcome to use material. So I hope it will feed into the project in a wider way. Because I'm unpacking and repacking at the moment to check which things I would most like to take to Istanbul, I'm realising that all the unmade projects, all the films that didn't get made, but I've got the archive of all the scripts and the research material for them. And in a way, by them being archived, it's making them into a realised project. And I think and that thought hadn't occurred to me. And now I sort of feel that the projects are all alive. And so that, I think, has been the best part of this very exhausting, tiring process. I can't quite believe that this has happened.